What is this?
Oh my God, is that a miracle pill?
It's a circus peanut.
Man, this is ridiculous. We've been out here all day. We barely got any fish for us to eat.
It's never been this bad before, fellas.
You're right.
Maybe the fish have just moved on.
Or maybe we're just cursed.
Yeah, it could be.
Rough night, boys?
Oh no, everything's been wonderful. There's no fish, no money, just peachy.
I have an idea. Let's go back out.
Right now, in the daylight, this is the worst time to fish.
Yeah, we just finished cleaning the nets.
Yeah, I know. Just trust me.
Captain, you know I respect you, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've been out this our whole lives. There's just no fish today.
I know. It's about to get exciting, though. As a matter of fact, take your boats and let's go out into the deep. I want you to cast the nets, and we're going to do this again. Just trust me.
I mean, we don't have any fish. I guess what do we have to lose?
At least if we don't catch any fish, we can just blame Elias.
I like that.
All right, but only because you said so.
Let's go. I think we do got a rabbit.
That's right.
Stay in the boat. Stay in the boat.
Let's go up a little closer. We got to get that cast out there.
Ready?
Yeah. There we go.
Wait! Something's happening!
This can't be real.
Oh my God. Oh my God, you guys, we're gonna need another boat. This one's gonna sink.
There's one over there. Let's call him over.
Hey guys,
Hey.
come help.
Come on over!
Holy mackerels.
Goodness.
Oh my gosh!
I can't believe this. This is impossible. I promise you there was no fish out there.
Go ahead and start cleaning them.
Captain, I doubted you. I didn't believe that there's fish out there. And, I mean, look what we have. This is a miracle.
Jonah, don't be afraid. I didn't bring you out here just to catch fish. I brought you out here to show you a greater way to live. From now on, Jonah, you're going to fish for people. Follow me.
I'm in.
Us too.
Follow me. So, as y'all can see, I missed the funny memo. So I'm gonna just do what I'm supposed to do. Is that all right? But no, what I wanted to talk about when it comes about going all in, there's a couple things that I think are just critical and key when it comes to talking about going all in. But I'm gonna try to be as transparent as possible because that's how we like to do things, okay? So when I first got a call 13 years ago, there was a person at the other end said, Bo, come here. I want you to come down here and meet me. I looked at the phone, Jake. I said, who's this on my phone? Sounded country. I didn't recognize the voice. I didn't know him. Had a 10-minute conversation. But one of the things that Andy told me changed my life in our first conversation. He said, the first thing you got to do is make up in your mind that you're going to make a bunch of money. And then the second thing you got to do is you got to stay humble. That's right. I said, okay, got it. And then he learned how to talk. I love when Andy talks to people because he talks in their language. So what he told me, Andy, he said, hey, do you know that scripture that talks about getting wisdom and knowledge? I said, yeah, I'm familiar with that one. He says, that's where you are in this business. You need to come down here and meet me. I said, okay, down here where? Dallas. So you talking about Texas, Andy? He said, yeah. Now, mind y'all, I'm just going to paint the picture for you, okay? We were literally on food stamps and state assistance. I didn't know how we were going to get toys for kids for Christmas. So I wasn't in a financial position to be able to just be going to Dallas, okay? And then he asked me a question. He said, you got any money? I said, no, that one's easy. Nope. And he said, you got anybody who loves you? I said, nope. I do, but I'm not the guy they can call because every time I call, I'm asking for money. So they kind of hit the red button on me. He said, okay, I'll make you a deal. I said, what's that? He said, if you can figure out how to get down here, I'll pay for your conference ticket. I'll pay for the food. You just got to get here. I said, okay. Now, when it comes to that situation, I was excited because there was something in his voice that I knew was different. Let me just say it one more time. There was something different about Andy than anybody else I had ever talked to. A lot of leaders want people to trust them, but you haven't done anything to get them to trust you. A lot of leaders want people to trust them based on people's reputation, not their character. Your reputation is who we think you are in public, but your character is who you actually are. And you're asking people to trust you, but you haven't put in the amount of deposits in order to get them to actually trust you. But when I talked to him, I said, there's something different about this man. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to go and see what he's talking about. So I go home, I'm talking to Carla. I said, baby, Andy just called me. She said, who's that? I said, it's the president and CEO of the company. I want to go meet him. She said, okay, where's he going to be at? I said, here's the thing. I said, it's going to be in Dallas. She looked, she said, Texas? I said, yeah. And then she said, well, when is it? I said, here's the other thing. It's going to be on Friday. Now, mind you, he called me on a Wednesday, Diane. And it was the very next Friday. It wasn't like a few Fridays from now we had time to plan. It was the very next Friday. And so when he calls me, he says, I want you to come down here and meet me. I go home, I'm telling Carla, explaining it to Carla. And as I'm explaining it to Carla, she kind of looks and gives me the blank stare. And she walked away, y'all. No good night, no kiss, no nothing. So clearly I'm not going to Dallas, right? But listen to how God works. My wife wakes up the next morning and she says, something's telling me you need to go. And you guys ever heard that something? The pastor said it earlier today, that quiet whisper. A lot of times it's hard to hear the whisper when you got so many distractions around you, though. Because the whisper is at a certain frequency. But when you have distractions, it's hard to hear the frequency. And so she said, Marcus, something is telling me you need to go. I said, no, for real. She said, yeah, I said, because I don't want to be one of these situations where I get in trouble. Not all ladies do this, but sometimes Carla, Andy, she'll say certain things. And then if I do it and I know I'm supposed to do it, I get in trouble. So I'm like, babe, are you sure? Like, I'm not going to be sleeping on the couch, like, we're good, right? She says, yeah, we're good. So long story short, I go to Dallas, Texas. When I get to Dallas, Texas, I had never met Andy. I only talked to Robbie like twice. And I'm like, this could end up very bad. I could be on like 60 Minutes, you know, first 48, like the young black kid gets out here in Dallas, like, he's missing. Like, this is one of these crazy stories, right? And I said, babe, if I don't call you in a couple hours, I'm at this hotel with these people, like you just sent out the APB. But when I got there, I heard story after story of people who were in my same situation. struggling to try to pay the bills, trying to figure out how to make it work, but they were following a system that was put in place. And the thing that stuck with me the most, I'll never forget it, when Stephen stood up and he made a statement, he said, blame is the soothing ointment for failure. That's 13 years later, and it still sticks with me because you know where I was in my life? I was blaming everybody else for my lack of success. I was blaming the fact that I couldn't do certain things. I was blaming the color of my skin. I was blaming where I came from for the reason why I couldn't get ahead and couldn't succeed. But I really just had to man up, Mike. Because it's not anybody else's fault. It's not Carla's fault. She didn't sign up to marry me to be broke. Nobody goes to the altar and says, you know what, we're going to just suck at this. Right? And so we go through the process of building a business, but here's what I want to talk to you about. First one was about trusting your leader. Y'all saw the whole scene, right? A lot of times you can be doing a thing a certain way, but if you don't trust the person that's giving you the information, you won't take their advice and follow it fully. I have been guilty and am guilty. Can I just speak plainly to you? So let me just kind of peel back some layers. You ready? So when I was getting ready for this talk, praying about what God wanted to say, he said, I want you to be totally honest with them. Because when you get to a certain level, you can trust at a certain level, but when you're required to go deeper, it requires you to give up something. I can trust that I can sell this to anybody, but building a business is a bigger challenge for me because it requires me to take my eyes off of myself and focus on others. I'm going to be as transparent as possible, can I? So what happens is when Andy's saying, I want you to do it this way, there's a part of me that still fights against it because I have to take my eyes off of Marcus and focus on others. What is keeping you from taking your eyes off of yourself and focusing on helping others? What is it that's stopping you from going all in? Is it your fears? Is it I don't know how it's going to work? Or here's the other part that he didn't tell me when I went to meet him 13 years ago. I didn't know that in the process of making $100,000, I was going to have to file for bankruptcy the first year. Yep. No one told me that. Because a lot of times when you're following, we want to know how the end is going to work out before we get to the end. But the God that we serve says, I'm not worried about your end. I'm worried about making you who you need to be in your process. I'm worried about building your character and developing who you are called to be and who I called you to be, right? But as we're going through that process, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to stand up in front of you and let people know that I'm really struggling to pay bills to even get to a conference. It doesn't feel good that when you're going to a conference, you got to sleep on the floor because you have no money and you got to go to the Red Roof Inn. I was there, Andy. So I know I'm in good company, Adam. I was at the Red Roof Inn. That tub was so nasty, I didn't even want to put my feet in it. I'm not kidding. Gross. But that's the process of going all in, is you don't know what it's going to look like. The question is, are you willing to trust the person and trust that the one who went before you is going to give you the accurate information? Because Andy's not going to say anything to me that's going to hurt me. But if I don't trust his heart and I don't trust his character, it will stop me from going all in. So I got news for you. God said, Marcus, if you're going to get up here and talk to these people about going all in, are you willing to? Because I don't want to be a hypocrite. Y'all know what a hypocrite is? A hypocrite is someone who acts like something that they're not. They can talk really good and say a good thing, but they're not willing to do what they're saying. Jesus said, he said, don't be like the hypocrites. He said, do what they tell you to do, but don't do as they do. And I don't want to be in that boat. I don't want to be in a situation, James, where I'm telling people that you can build this and that it works, but I'm not building a business. And so in my own personal quiet time, God began to convict me and said, all right, Marcus, are you willing to go all in? Are you willing to give it everything you got? Are you willing to leave it on the field and die empty? We talk about it often, but now you got to watch action, right? Trust only motion. So I got news for you. I'm making a public declaration. We're going all in today. We're going all in. All in. It's no more just lip service. It's no more just talking about it. We're going all in. And when you make declarations like this, you begin to wonder, well, how's that going to look? And here's what God told me. He said, you just got to go in today. See, we want to know how it's going to look 30 years from now. You don't have to know how it's going to look 30 years from now. You just got to go all in today. He said, give us this day our daily bread. He didn't say, give me my bread for the week. He didn't say, give me my bread for the month. He didn't say, give me my bread for the year. He said, I'll give you your daily bread today. He said, I'll give you your daily bread today. He said, deny yourself daily and take up your cross and follow me. So don't worry about how it's going to look 10 years from now or how the end is. He said, I want you to follow me, and as you follow me, I'll make you a fisher of men. And see, what we're doing when we're recruiting is we're fishing for people so we can bring them into an environment that can transform their life. Has your life been transformed? That is what we're doing when we're fishing. We're not just fishing to fish and say, look at my money and look at my houses and look at my cars. I'm fishing because I know what God has done to me through this business. I know how he has changed my life. I remember where I was in 2016. I had been married for about 10 years, but I was tired of being married. Anybody else? Okay. I'm going to talk to this side of the room, Terry. I was tired. I was hurting. Because here's what I know. Here's what I know. Is that love will get you to the altar, but love won't keep you past the altar. Love will get you there, but in order to stay there, you need some wisdom. You need some knowledge. You need some understanding. Her love language is not my love language. I was 20, she was 19. I didn't know nothing about love. Can I get an amen? And so in my marriage, I was tired, but I didn't know that I was going to have to come to a business and meet a man that says, you got to go talk to Tim because he can help you in your marriage. And guess what Tim did? Tim challenged me. He said, hey, you know what? You remember that scripture that talks about leaving and cleaving? I said, yeah, I'm familiar with that one. He says, your problem is you've never left your daddy. I was a daddy's boy. But because I was looking for the approval and acceptance of a man, I couldn't love her like I needed to. I was having her fight with my dad about my time. I was more worried about helping the church than I was about helping my own family. Ought not be. And so that changed my life. And he began to speak to me and help me understand that it's bigger than just building a business, Marcus. Because what would that look like if you build a business and your marriage falls apart? What would that look like if you build a business and your kids is on drugs and strung out? What would that look like if I'm supposed to be a man of God, following God, and my kids don't even like me? I learned that here. I didn't learn that in church. I had to be challenged. And then here's what happens as you follow your leader and you go all in. When they challenge you, are you willing to just obey? It's hard to obey when you have ego. Because ego says, I think I know better than him. Ego says, I think I can do it better than he can. Or I think I can do it better than she can. And so you stop listening and you stop doing it. You stop coming to the meetings. You stop writing personal product. You stop. Ego will cause you to say, I got it all figured out. Pride goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. Whenever there's pride, there's shame. What are you ashamed of? What is it that's causing you to stop from going all in? So my challenge to you today is ask yourself, am I really giving it 100%? Am I really giving it 100%? Am I really doing what God asked me to do in this environment that I'm currently in? Because if I'm being honest with you, I can say no, right? But I'm up here talking to you, right? But tell the truth, shame the devil, okay? Because I know I'm not the only one. I know that there's other people in the room looking at me feel just like me. Like you know you have more in you. You know you have more to give, but you're still holding back something. What's causing you to hold back? What's causing you not to go all in? What's causing you not to leave it on the field? Because here's what I know. I know that we serve a big God. And I love the message today. What's in your hands? What is in your hand? Because God's not looking for who you are. He's looking for what you'll give him. God is looking for what you'll give him. And all he wants is all of you. Your brokenness, your broken marriage, your broken thoughts, your broken self-esteem, your broken self-image, every part of you. And then when he has every part of us, he says, okay, now let me show you how this works. That's how it goes. It's the same thing in business. The business that God has given us is a platform for us to be able to influence and change the world. because in your business is where you can show the glory of God. I love that we have the Sunday services. But even if we didn't have the Sunday services, I love him. Y'all ain't saying nothing to me. Can I walk you through this thing? When I was working on buying my house and working on qualifying for my house, okay, so y'all know the first house we lost, right? I told you a story. When I was working on getting my second house and qualifying for my first house, I didn't call my dad for money, James. I called Andy and Jane and said, hey, y'all, I need some help. He said, what do you need? I said, here's what I need. He stroked me a check, y'all, to help me close on my second house after I lost my first house. I don't tell that story much. But then you'll have people in your ear that says, oh, you don't need him. He's just trying to use you. The naysayers, right? And you got to block out the naysayers because I know who he is. So I can trust his character, not his reputation. Because his reputation is what people see out here. But I spend time with him. I've hung out with him. And I'm not saying he's perfect. But what I'm saying is I trust his heart. And if I trust his heart, what's stopping me from going all in? If you trust your leader's heart, what's stopping you from going all in? You're afraid of how it might end up? The God we serve says do not be afraid over 365 times. So you can take it to the bank that if God is in it, you don't have to be afraid. The question I would have for you is, do you really believe that God is in it? Do you believe that God's hand is on this company? Do you believe that God's hand is on your life? Do you believe that God has called you to the alliance? Then if you believe that God has called you to the alliance, why don't we start acting like it? Do I got anybody who wants to act like you know God is in the mix? Do I got anybody who says, I know that God is for me. And if God is for me, he is more than anybody who can be against me. If God said that I can have it, I can have it. If God said I can do it, I can do it. If God is with me, nothing is impossible. Now it's time to live like it. Now it's time to recruit like it. Now it's time to sell like it. Now it's time to go all in for what God has called us to do. And I'll leave you with this. Here's what it says in Ecclesiastes. It says, whatever your hands find to do it with all your might. Because you don't know when you're going to the grave. Because from the grave, there's no work to be done. So what I'm asking you to do is put your hands to the plow with me. And let's plow like we've never plowed before. Let's recruit like we've never recruited before. Let's sell like we've never sold before. And let's leave it all on the field. And at the end of the day, let's hear God say, well done. Well done. Because you gave me everything you had. Because you trusted me when you didn't know how it was going to work. Well done. That's my charge for the call today to close this thing out. I'm charging you. Let's go all in. God bless you.